you can't wait until all of the business studies are done and everything has a proven ROI, or we feel you're too late. So these are early kind of ventures, and if they fail, we celebrate them, but we quickly try something again.
Welcome to the Family Business Connection, a Prairie Family Business Association podcast where we lift up the stories behind family businesses who thrive for generations. I'm your host, Stephanie Larscheid. On Family Business Connection, we explore the topics our family business members request most often: communication, culture, innovation, leadership, strategy, and succession, by hearing from the family business leaders who are solving problems day in and day out and building a legacy for their businesses and their families. In this episode, we welcome Paul Steffes, founder and innovation advisor at Steffes Companies, headquartered in Dickinson, North Dakota. In our conversation, we talk about family and business values, and especially integrating innovation into all that Steffes does and stands for. We also discuss what Paul refers to as the OBM Model, Owner Board Management, and how they all work together with each one's unified voice. There was a time when Paul thought the next generation would not be able to afford the business, and he talks about their family solution to that obstacle. Thanks for joining us in this episode of Family Business Connection. Before we get into my conversation with Paul, here's a word from our sponsor, 6 Point Creative. We want to give a big thank you to this episode's sponsor, 6 Point Creative. Are you navigating the complexities of evolution and growth in your family's brand and feeling a little stuck? 6 Point Creative can provide the clarity your team needs to move forward with confidence. 6 Point's brand strategy workshops will help you get unstuck quickly, and their team of experts will accelerate your growth while protecting the value and reputation you've already built. Visit 6pointcreative.com today to learn more about their personalized approach and take your family business to the next level. Paul, we're really looking forward to our conversation today. It's going to be a lively discussion. You have a lot of great experiences to share as founder and innovation advisor to Steffes. We have a lot to learn through you and with you. So looking forward to our conversation today, Paul.
Well, thank you, Stephanie.
How are your values as a person, a father, a spouse, a grandfather? How do you integrate all of that into Steffes?
Well, Stephanie, I think it's very easy. I think of them, they're my personal values and they're in the company. So certainly in addition to communication, innovation, leadership, strategy, success, culture, which are very typical, patience, curiosity, empathy, humility, fun, tenacity, persistence, bravery before mastery, lifelong learning, active listening, generosity, treat people with respect, treat them the way you'd like to be treated, celebrating failures, and those types of things are very important as well. And one specific one I'd like to mention is never say no to new ideas, but empathetically ask yourself 7 times, might this new idea actually been better than the way we're doing it now, or the mindset that I have in my own mind? So those are my personal and fatherly and spousal and grandfatherly kind of values, and certainly I use those same ones at work.
As we release this episode in advance of Father's Day, I think it's really telling when you talk about how those values that you as founder instilled in the company from the very beginning and how they're still carrying out today. And you have a presence of other family members involved in some aspect of the business, either day to day or through the board or through ownership, and now grandchildren are in the picture as well. Any story you want to share around your family being involved in the company and seeing how you do business, why you do business, how you treat employees?
Yeah. So, I currently have, one daughter active in the business. All 3 of my children, though, are active owners. And, they have to be they have to be patient, and they have to be informed, and be just in tune with everything. And so that has been a wonderful experience. One unique thing that we do, typically on board committees, you don't have an innovation committee, but it's a special kind of committee that we have with our board, and it has an unusual makeup where it's 2 members of management, 2 board members, and 2 family members. And it isn't like we have to come up with innovative ideas in this committee, but we need to have assurance, with this committee that management is doing innovative things, that they're trying new things every year and every month to prepare for the future. Because if you don't do innovative things, you're not trying to do things better tomorrow than you are today, you have 0 chance of success. And with doing innovative things and preparing your company for the future where the world is different than it is today, you at least have a chance at success. And so, that is, one thing that, seems, I'm really happy about our family being active in that. And they're in the boardroom too. So I could talk more about that if you'd like as well.
And for what I understand, you also set aside a portion of profits, and that is used for innovation funding. Is that how you operate at Steffes?
Yes. Yes. What we do, we set aside at least 2%. Management can spend more, but at least 2% of gross revenue needs to be dedicated to products, and they can be fairly risky. Certainly, we use a hedgehog type of philosophy where you don't need a full business plan to spend 2% of the annual revenue on things that possibly have a chance. Certainly there has to be someone in the company that has a passion for this idea, and they're even using a stretch of your imagination. You have to be able to envision a way to make money, some way for it to drive your economic engine. But you can't wait until all of the business studies are done and everything has a proven ROI, or we feel you're too late. So these are early kind of ventures, and if they fail, we celebrate them, but we quickly try something again.
I think that philosophy is something that families could really take that scenario and implement that in their own family business pretty simply. When we talk about how innovation is so important as families grow to 3rd, 4th, 5th generation, 100-year-old companies, change is needed. The way that you do business is different. And how are you going to go down those avenues that could potentially propel your business for the next 50 or 100 years? I think it's great how you embrace innovation at Steffes. We talk about your structure a bit, Paul, and you talked about how you have ownership, you have management, you have the board. It's something that you refer to as the OBM model. Talk about how that works for your company and for your family.
Well, certainly it's a piece that when we saw it, we were anxious to try it, but I was very fearful, even though we have a dream anyway of keeping the business and the family, if possible, for 200 years. How to envision that was very perplexing and troubling to me. But when we got involved with Larry Haas and the owner board management system, where owners have a task to do and they must diligently do it year in and year out, but they can't be messing with management. The absolute kiss of death is it. Individual owners, they all individually lobby to individual managers, and it's a train wreck from the word go. But if we can get owners to work together and do their job and speak with one voice, expressing their values, vision, needs, and goals, and writing it down annually, and they can change from year to year, and they don't give it to management, they give it to the board, and the board, with their wisdom, they accept or reject the owner's plan. But once they accept the owner's plan, they give the owner's plan to management and say, write an operating plan to try and achieve the owner's plan. And so owners don't have any direct interface with management in an official capacity, even though they can go to dinner, they can go to business functions, they can personally visit with management. But they have no direct command, or they don't have power over management to do as individual owners so choose. Does that kind of give you a flavor for it, or do you have questions on OBM,
It
Stephanie?
does. It's such a powerful way of operating. We at Prairie Family Business Association know that there are 3 key indicators for success when a family business has that aspiration to last 200 years, and those are strategic planning, family meetings, and operating with a board. And you've done that very well, Paul. Your family has embraced that, and your board's embraced it, and your management has as well. It's so powerful when you talk about that one vision, that one voice, and the family coming together with their owner plan, owner manual. Those are tools that are readily available for families to work on, to come together, to create some family harmony, to have that bonding experience together. Now, is that something you are revisiting annually?
Absolutely, and it's a delight that the next generation has literally taken that off of my plate, my wife's plate, and I'm so proud that they're tackling that issue. I'll just mention one interesting thing, Stephanie. 5 years after we had the OBM system, and it was very frightening for the first year, even the second and third year. We didn't have confidence in how this was going to go, and how is management going to accept this, and how is the board going to know what to do and when to do it. But after 5 years, it was a delight that our top management came to me and said, I don't know of another way that could work. So we have confidence today after working with it for a number of years.
And what a retention driver that can be for some of your key employees too, and your leadership team.
Sure.
When they have that embracing of operating in this way, and the necessary buy-in, exception, rejection, questions, back and forth in a really healthy way.
Yes.
I love that model that you set up. One thing I've heard you talk about, Paul, is that as you worked on the future of your family business, it grew, it became more successful. You've certainly grown. You built a great business with Steffes companies, and you got to a point where you didn't know if the next generation would be able to afford the business. And you found a solution that would really work for you and for your family and the next generation. Talk about that.
Sure. So it would have been about 15 years ago, and I would have been approaching 60 in the late 50s. But when I realized that our business had grown to the point where there would be significant estate taxes, and the next generation would have to take on debt greater than ever, greater than I ever wanted to have, to run a business. I'm more conservative, and I just as soon get rid of debt if at all possible. And so we first went down a path of setting up trusts, and we started doing IDGITs, intentional defective grantor trusts, and we proceeded down that path for several years. But only to realize that my children would be in the same situation that I'm in within the next 20 to 30 years. And so we reversed course. We just started over, and we started transferring into dynasty trusts. And we work with a group in South Dakota, and these trusts reside there. They're very familiar with setting these up. And it was a wonderful piece, and after 10 years of trying to get our company into a dynasty trust, we're more than 95% of the way there. So we're close to having the business 100% in the dynasty trust, and I basically don't own anything other than less than 1% of the company in the form of voting stock. So I have some nuclear options, so even though I own less than 1% of the stock. But the company is more than 99% going into Dynasty Trust, and we're 95% of the way there. And that way, there'll be no inheritance tax on the business when I die, and then when my children pass away, they're able to give it to their, pass the trust on to their children as well.
It's such a powerful mechanism which you have utilized, and I'm so grateful that you found that solution and that you've been able to share that with other families who've been in similar positions to where you are today. And you're not just thinking about your children, but you're thinking about your grandchildren and future heirs of the business, and how Steffes can remain family owned and professionally managed for decades to come. It's incredible what the work that you and your family have done in that regard, especially in today's environment when you are facing something where we're all facing offers from private equity, third-party buyers. I am sure that is something that has come across your desk, your phone, your email for years. And to be able to put a structure in place that you feel so confident about, not only for today, but for the future, that can help your business reach that 100, 200 year mark as a family business, it's so powerful. And it's something that is a tool that's available to other families that we really want to encourage that structure put in place so that you're set up for success. And when that phone call comes with someone offering to buy your business, your first response isn't yes, because we don't know what else to do with it. It is no, because we have set up a wonderful structure that we all feel really good about. We can sleep well at night, and we know that this business is set up for success for many years to come. For those families who might be getting those calls from someone for private equity or purchase, what would you say to them with the work that you've done and what's possible?
Well, in our particular case, I'm sure it's different for everyone, but 15 years ago, I was feeling depressed and, well, there's really no option. And my only path that I could see was to sell to private equity at some point and cash out. But I've never had the desire to give my children a pile of cash. So this for me, it became a better option. And what was particularly nice, 10 years ago, we had a division that was quite profitable, and we were able to sell a portion of the company, but it didn't affect our other, main groups where we do energy storage, our oil field work, and our contract manufacturing. And so, we did sell a division, and that freed up some cash for my wife and I, to have security in our life. But we were able to leave the company, the main company, leave it intact. And so, we're proud that we're able to pass on a complete operating business, to the next generation, and it hopes that they'll be able to manage the business in a way that they can certainly provide for themselves. And we do declare dividends, non-tax dividends as well. It all doesn't stay in the company, but hopefully they'll be able to manage the business in a way that they can do the same when it's time to pass the business on to their children.
It's a great scenario that you've described. And when you talk about the selling off of a portion of the company, a division, I would have to guess that would be because of the innovation that you've done over the years, that you have these multi-successful divisions within your company, in large part due to a lot of the innovation and risk-taking that you've taken over the years. So great job, Paul.
Yeah. And I'll add to that, certainly, we do take this philosophy of we must reinvent ourselves every 5 years. But you mentioned all the successful businesses that we've grown, Stephanie, but I'm quick to point out that it wasn't necessarily business, but product lines within our businesses. We certainly have had a lot more failures than we've had successes, but we celebrate those failures and we move on, and even though we're stung, we continue to take risk. And so I did want to point out that everything we touch doesn't turn to gold. There's a lot of crap out there too that we've done a poor job of, or it wasn't the right opportunity, or we weren't able to, capitalize on that opportunity. So we had lots of failures as well, but enough to make ends meet.
It's good to sort through and find that gold, and that's a lesson for future generations as well, your next gen and beyond. When you talk about your, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was just going to add, and you'll hear this multiple times. Forgive me for my repeating myself, but the greatest thing is simply being willing to try something is how I term it, and that's the most important thing. And learn from it, and even if it's a mistake, learn from it, but keep trying.
Yes, very much so. Back to the board conversation, I think something that may be helpful to talk about is your makeup of your board. So if you can talk about the independent members on your board and the family representation as well.
Yeah, there's no family, and when I retire, it'll be 100% independent. It's interesting, we don't have any management on our board either. And so, with that, management is responsible for doing all the strategic planning. Many times a classic board would do the strategic planning. So, I am an artifact, that is still a member but not chairman of the board. And, so we've had wonderful success recruiting wonderful past executives. I think all of them are retired, and but they give us enormous value, and we fairly compensate them. And we recently added 2 new board members, and we had a wealth of people to select from. So we were able to get some wonderful people, primarily from the Minnesota, Wisconsin area. It's interesting, 10 years ago, almost all of our board members were Colorado, but we've had great success in bringing in board members that some of them even have owner board management experience.
And how many total on your board, Paul?
There's 7 of us on the board.
And then do you have a family liaison to the board?
Yes. Susie is our liaison. So when the board has communication with the family, our chairman of the board is the one that would communicate anything to one designated person in the family, which is Susie.
Wonderful.
And in the board meeting, family members are welcome in the boardroom, but they cannot address management in any official capacity. They might be able to make some comments. One thing, board members can give advice that might not be a single voice piece. It might be their personal opinion to management or ownership. But any official action, or like if the board is going to speak, it must be in writing. So that frees up board members to give personal advice whenever they so choose. It's not official, information from the board. Anything official from the board comes in writing when the board is speaking with one voice.
Thanks for describing that, Paul. It's so good to hear how that's been going for you over the years and how that's setting you up for future success, and how you're really, one thing I think from my perspective that you're really passing down in terms of values is that you've formalized so many things and professionalized in terms of your board, your management structure, your ownership structure, your family structure. And that's something that is just a true gift that you've given to Steffes companies and the Steffes family. We've now moved to the portion of our episode where we'll talk about the Family Business 5. And so we have 5 questions that we'll ask you, that we ask all of our podcast guests. Paul, to start off, what's a book that has greatly influenced your life?
Well, I'm going to go with Creativity Leap by Natalie Nixon. And it talks about the importance of unleashing curiosity and intuition at work, and how all people are hardwired to be creative. And I never thought of creativity like that. It's like playing basketball. It's a competency that you can develop. It's just like you can play basketball, in a minute to learn how to throw the ball, but you've got to practice it and you've got to work on it. And if you work on innovation, and it goes back to us saying before, trying things and trying things and trying some more things, that's the practice you need to be innovative and to be successful at new ventures in my belief.
I'll have to check that book out. That sounds like a great one. Through your involvement in Prairie Family Business Association, what program or experience has provided the most value to you, Paul?
Well, certainly the annual meetings, and Stephanie, I'll maybe embarrass you, but you've done an absolute amazing job of bringing in world-class speakers to the annual meeting. And whenever I get the feeling I'm not going to be able to make it there this year, I'm glad I make the extra effort. And halfway through, I tell myself, geez, I almost didn't come to it this year. So thank you so much. And the other thing that is amazing, I've been in an affinity group, I'm not sure how many years, 5, 8 years. And, we have about 7 other people. They're peers to me. And it's extremely confidential, information that we share. And we tell all. And, it's kept very confidentially. And it's a setting where else can you have that depth and, of confidential conversation of your peers that understand what you're going through. So it's been a very valuable service from my point of view.
Well, on the conference side, the pressure's on as we book speakers for next year that can make a big impact. And from the Affinity Peer Group side, I know that it's been very impactful for you and the group vice versa. And I think probably a lot of things that you've learned along the way have come through what you've learned and absorbed through Prairie Family Business as well as through your peers, and they are taking some of those tools back to their families and business, which is a really powerful go-around. Looking back on your family business, what do you most attribute your success to, or what are you most proud of?
Well, certainly, I studied engineering, and unfortunately, I'm a half-brain engineer. I can do the math, I can do the calculus, I can do differential equations, but I never had the business knowledge or the management knowledge. And so, my father was similar in that he was a creative guy. He could build anything out of steel or wood, and he instilled that creativity in me. So that was a very important piece. And but I've had mentors, and luckily I know what I don't know, and I seek professional help in management and accounting and finance, banking, and those are things that I certainly attribute to my and I don't like to use the word my success, but getting us to the point we are today. It isn't. I don't have a goal that I feel I can accomplish. I'm enjoying the journey, and I hope other people that are here are enjoying the journey. And it isn't a complete success. We're always in transition, doing new things, and just enjoy that.
Well, I appreciated that about you and your family, that you don't know what you don't know, and that's why you show up to learn and engage, especially engaging with other family businesses, because chances are very highly likely that you will learn something new and take it back to your family and your business. Who's someone from outside your family business who's been instrumental to your success?
Well, certainly, this goes back to 1987. We'd been in business for 14 years. And as I mentioned, my father was, he was a manufacturing craftsman who could build wonderful things. But he would look at anyone in the office or anyone that sat in an office as waste. And a classic statement he'd make with his employees would be, "I don't pay you to think, I pay you to work, get to work." And that limited to having like 10 or 12 people. And when he died, we were that size. And I had the ambitions to make a full manufacturing company. We had probably 12 people at the time. And a banking friend of our family, Bob Stronach, an old banker, kind of mentored me and took me through borrowing third position money from the state of North Dakota and second position money from SBA. And then our local bank gave us a little bit more. And we went into manufacturing, and we stepped up at that time to 100 people. But to get to 600 people today, it took, early accountants, Jerry Fisher, a leader in Dickinson, a friend, a college friend, Dennis Johnson, management and leadership. And at Prairie Family Business, we still use Larry Hawes for, he is our OBM mentor. Dick Harper was our first, our next generation advisor, and Justin Anderson, we found at Prairie Family Business. They're our current next gen advisor, and they have 4.5 to 2 day meetings every year with us, and it works out really well. And there's a whole host of other similar people at Prairie Family Business conferences that are available for family businesses to use.
It takes a village. It certainly does, and many people factor into that. That's a great list there, Paul. What's a lesson learned from a family member that's really stuck with you?
Well, right from the get-go, my wife, Lori, she was always accepting of me taking big risk. And my risk isn't gone. Basically being in business, you risk everything every day. And so I was always comforted knowing that she accepts the fact that I take risks and we take risks. And, but the worst that can happen is we have to start over. And so, that is been a wonderful thing. And, my children, picking up and being active owners and learning to be good owners and being patient and active owners. And, and now instilling in their children the owner's mentality. In fact, tomorrow we have our family council meeting. It'll go tomorrow and Thursday. And, we have 2 4-year-olds and, 6 other grandchildren. And, they'll take part in this as well to prepare them. And my children are currently sitting in this interesting intersection of innovation and sustainability, and continue to lay the owner's bedrock for the company to last for hundreds of years. So those are some things that come to my mind right away.
Great lessons right there. And especially going into your family council meeting this week, tomorrow, and how powerful that we're able to share some of this perspective and these views of you and what you've learned over the years in instilling your values as patriarch of your family business. Paul, I'm really proud of what you and your family are working on and continue to strive for in terms of your family business. And we're happy to be a part of it at Prairie Family Business. So thank you for being a part of our journey and vice versa. And it's been a great conversation today. I really appreciate it, Paul.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. And on that note, we've reached the end of the episode. Thank you to Paul for sharing his passion, vision, and values in leading his family business. As you heard Paul articulate, so many opportunities are possible with hard work, structure, risks, and celebrating failures along the way. Do you want to learn what key areas your family business should focus on next? Take the Family Business Checkup. After answering several prompts, the Family Business Checkup will give you scores on the key indicators of family business success and point you in the right direction for what you should focus on next. The checkup is free and available at our website, fambus.org/resources, or at the link in the show notes. Thanks again for joining us today. Our inaugural season of the Family Business Connection will be 10 episodes featuring stories of all kinds of family business leaders. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you.